Greetings and salutations, friends. Character NPC back at the gaming table for another session. It's been a wild one, and I can't tell you where things stand exactly. It's not good. Yes, dear friends, when we last left off, we had 4 days out of Aratar after picking up the golden receptacle, and those 4 days were uneventful. We didn't have any encounters, and then the morning of the second of Growfest, we had another wolf attack and tore into the party. Wolves are not kind. And so, dear friends, this is how it was. You can see the carnage left here by the fire. Everyone was dead or unconscious except for Asher, Wildwood, and Balda and Tiny, who came with us. They're the clerics from the Church of St. Cuthbert in Aratar. They, as non-player characters, I did not intend for them to really participate, other than to they'll have some part, but they were not in the battle against the wolves. They did not fight the wolves. They were doing what it is that they do to protect and to pray over and chant over the holy receptacle, their job, let's say, while all of this was going on. So they did not fight the wolves. But they will likely be an integral part of what comes next. And what does come next, friends? That's a good question. I think I need to look over things and decide for myself what the next actions, if any, will be. Of course, we have one character alive who can continue to make the trip back to Elfwine and deliver the vessel, the golden receptacle of St. Cuthbert. And so, let's take a look at healing and death and such. I think it's important for us to review a little bit about how this works in First Edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And so, of course, we'll need the old Dungeon Master's Guide. But real quick, let's take a look at where things stand. Randall Windsor, our fighter here, I'm blocking all the light, but Randall Windsor, he is down to 0. He took 4 points of damage, so this is the second time that wolves have mauled him bad enough that he fell to the ground unconscious and is out. So he's definitely starting to have a negative reaction, let's say, to wolves. Asher Wildwood took 6 points of damage, so he's down to 5. The only one standing. Aetbert Cuthbert took the majority of damage. He only had 4 hit points. He's down to 8. For my game, I'm using -3 as that point in which you are seeing the bright light in the darkness after falling into unconsciousness, and Aetbert just saw it as the shining cudgel of St. Cuthbert, and he went off toward the light. So at -4, Aetbert Cuthbert, our valiant cleric, who was quickly becoming the leader of the party. To be honest with you, he was a man of action, and in this newly developed party of adventurers, he's gone. He's the leader who wasn't. Willam Pembroke, the other cleric of St. Cuthbert, who studied with Aetbert and trained with him. They were friends. He took 8 points of damage and is also down to 0. So we have 2 party members down at 0 at this point. Svaldi Mundai, our magic user, who really hasn't had much involvement in things so far other than being there for support and being a part of the adventuring party. He took 4 points, so he's down to -2, but not completely dead. He's unconscious, lying there, bleeding. Jorbus Bicklemole, the illusionist thief, the only demi-human in the party. Everyone else is human, but Jorbus is a gnome. Came from the hills outside of Elfwine, from the town of Saket, which we haven't talked much about. We haven't visited there. But he took 7 points of damage, and he only had 4. So he is down to -3, and he's on the, he's looking at that light, but I don't know whether he's going to take the path to the light or not. So, let me recap again. We have 2 people down at 0, Windsor and Willam. We have Svaldi down at -2, Jorbus Bicklemole at -3, and Aetbert Cuthbert is just plain dead. All right. And when it talks here about, this is the Dungeon Master's Guide, page 82 to 83. We have the discussion about both 0 hit points. Oh, I'm dropping. Using a very small area to play this. And you may hear things falling and all that good stuff. Let's see. When any creature is brought to 0 hit points, optionally as low as -3 hit points, if from the same blow, which brought the total to 0, it is unconscious. In each of the next succeeding rounds, 1 additional negative point will be lost until -10 is reached and the creature dies. Such loss and death are caused by bleeding, shock, convulsions, non-respiration, and similar causes. It ceases immediately on any round a friendly creature administers aid to the unconscious one. Aid consists of binding wounds, starting respiration, administering a drought, spirits, healing potions, all those kinds of things. Or otherwise doing whatever is necessary to restore life. Any character brought to 0 or fewer hit points and then revived will remain in a coma for 1 to 6 turns. Thereafter, he or she must rest for a full week minimum. He or she will be incapable of any activity other than that necessary to move slowly to a place of rest and eat and sleep when there. The characters cannot attack, defend, cast spells, use magic devices, carry burdens, run, study, research, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're out. If any character reaches a state of -6 or greater negative points before being revived, this could indicate scarring or the loss of some member. They lose an arm or leg or something, if you so choose. For example, a character struck by a fireball, might be horribly scarred, right? Okay, so as I said, I'm not quite going to the whole -10 thing, but I was not counting rounds at 0 or below. However, I am going to use another check here for those who are below 0. I'm going to use the system shock check to see whether they make it after binding their wounds. So at this point, my plan is to say that as soon as combat was over, of course, Asher is going around and checking everyone, binding their wounds and helping them as best he can, along with Balda and Tiny, who are, just aghast at what they saw happen. They were doing their thing, getting stuff going over by the wagon. That's what they're there for. And their equipment and their spells and everything are set. So if you see here, they only have 1 Cure Light Wounds. They do have a Create Water as well. Tiny has a Create Water. Balda has a Cure Light Wounds. So that's gonna definitely be critical here because Aetbert is the one who had the Create Water, and we would have been casting Create Water this morning to survive. We've drank our last water to get through the day yesterday and into today. So that's the first thing that's going to happen is Asher Wildwood is going to bind everyone's wounds, and then we'll go on with the day by having Tiny cast his create water, and we'll have Balda cast his cure light wounds and see where we can get things, and then what will the next steps be. We can't give up. And I think it makes the most sense, even though it said that actually I'll have to go back and look at it again, but Willam is just down to 0. So we have Randall and Willam and let's see, Randall I said was down to 0. Aetbert is dead. Poor Aetbert. Devastating. Willam was down to 0. Zvaldi was down to -2. So we'll bind his wounds, but he is still... I mean, everybody's unconscious, but he's still totally down. And Jorbus down to down 7 points. He's down to -3. So let's start with him. These two need to make Svaldi's system shock is 85%. Svaldi Mundi, will he make it? He does, 50. So, he's unconscious, but we bind his wounds and he's breathing and he seems to be alive, but in terrible shape and unconscious. And Jorbus, I think his is pretty good. No, actually 75%. That's still pretty good, 75%. Oh, 100. Nope. Jorbus Bicklemole is dead. He doesn't make it. That's sad. I was hoping to see how an illusionist would work for the party. Okay. Wow, 100. Who would have thunk that? So out of all of this, we lose 2 party members. And fortunately, Tiny helps out, walks around and gathers everyone's water skins and puts them in a pile and begins to cast create water so that we have what we need for the next couple of days, and a couple of more. We'll take what equipment we can get from Aetbert and Jorbus and put it on the cart with the other equipment that's there. And then Balda will cast Cure Light Wounds on Willam so that when he wakes, he might be able to get to a point where he can also cast spells again, and then he can take over for where Aetbert was supporting the party. All right, 1d8, 5. So he is down 3 points. But still unconscious at this point. And will be for the day. Spaldi will be out for some time. It says a week. That's a long time to sit here. I don't think that we can just sit here a week. We'll surely be attacked again. So, you know, I don't know what to say about that at this point. We may end up just having to roll encounters and do what we can for him. It is only one body, so maybe we could put him in the cart, but or the wagon, but man, that's not what it's for. And here, you know, we're supposed to be praying and chanting over this holy receptacle, and the cart is there for that purpose, and now we're gonna potentially have a nearly dead bloodied body, you know, with it in the back. Not a good thing. Fortunately, though, it is a clear day and there's no precipitation. The weather's really nice, so at some point throughout the day, these two characters are still unconscious. Willam is unconscious. We'll have our evening encounter roll. Let's hope there isn't anything. Yes, we're good. And eventually time rolls on to midnight. There's only one person to stay up, and he's really tired. I'm not sure that if there's an encounter with maybe more than one creature that he'd be able to hold him off. But Asher Wildwood, our ranger, is gonna give it his best. Ah, excellent. No encounter. And that brings us to a new day. This will be the 3rd of Growfest. What is this day? This will be Moon Day. We're still in Hex 1422. 25 miles in. Same exact point. Hoping someday we might get to Hex 1323. And we would be up to full move if we could. Unless we have some more precipitation here. Nope, don't want that yet. Not using our food yet. Man, that's really sad. So depressing to see half the party dead already. Or maybe not a half, but a third. 2 of them. Let's see. So let's check out how much food we have. We only have 2 weeks. I know that sounds like a lot when it should be several days of travel. But we turned around and left Aratar the same day. So we have already had 1 week. We're already 1 week and 2 days. We only have food to the end of the week. And we are so far away. We're barely halfway to Elfwine. So let's start with the weather. Uh, 12, 54, and 9 and 4, 13. So, wow, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be 32, so 29. Could freeze. Let's see what our cloud conditions. 55. cloudy. Which makes sense for it dropping in temperature. Please, no precipitation. 88. No, we're good. Okay, so we're still at full movement if we could move. Though I don't see that happening. And as the morning begins, since we had a full night's rest, Tiny and Bolda have their spells prepared. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this next morning, Randall and Willam wake up from unconsciousness. Can't really do anything, but at least they're awake and starting to show signs of life, while Svaldi is just completely out. And we'll have Bolda cast Cure Light Wounds on Randall this time. Or, yeah. No, we better do it on Svaldi. Well, no, we better do it on Randall because, I mean, even though Svaldi is in dire straits, you know, we bound his wounds. He's at -2. -2 or -2, I think I said. Yeah, -2. I mean, he'll gain a hit point, so he'll be at -1. Actually, everyone except Asher will gain a hit point because they did nothing except sleep and rest for a full day. Asher's still active and guarding and doing things, so he doesn't get a point back. But that puts Svaldi at -1 today. He's still unconscious in a coma. Willam will gain a hit point. He's still down 2. Yeah, and so Bolda convinces us that it's just not worth, you know, Svaldi is in too bad a shape to determine whether it's worth magically healing him yet, versus Randall, who, you know, by end of day should be able to help the party. So he's gonna cast Cure Light Wounds on Randall. He gets 3 points. 3 of his 4. Oh, and he gained 1 as well. I forgot. He also gained 1 for resting for the day. So he's back up to full. One of the valuable things about having so few hit points is that it's easy to get back up to full again, right? Alright. And the sun rises and the day is moving on. Cloudy but clear, or cloudy but without rain. And we roll for our encounter in the morning. No. It's a pretty dicey time for the party. And these guys, they do nothing. They do nothing for the day. Asher, Wildwood, he needs to be active, so he's gonna go out and do some hunting and try to make sure that we're gonna have food ongoing. So he's gonna go out and for my hunting rules, as I said, this is one of those things where you got to fill in the gaps. And my ruling was that hunting takes basically two activities. There's the part where you find and stalk your prey. You know, I see some deer, let's say. I see some deer, and I track the deer without being seen, smelt, whatever by them, noticed by them. And then the second part is to trap or to dispatch the prey, however that is. I didn't want to go through all the attacks back and forth to hits and stuff. So we'll have a wisdom check for are you capable of finding and stalking your prey, and a dexterity check for dispatching and turning that prey into food. So is wisdom below a 15 or below? No. So he just doesn't find any. No prey the first day. And as he makes it back to camp in the evening time, he finds Balden and Tiny chanting over the case. They're not happy. They're already considering, you know, what's it going to take for us to get on the road again and move things along, because there's no reason for them to really be held up too much. They've got a mule and a wagon, and they're ready to go. But for our evening encounter, we don't have one, fortunately. Shoo. And then later, at midnight, we're going to have these two again doing nothing today. All they did was eat and rest for another day. If we can get through this encounter without being killed. So it's Asher who is up watching at midnight. He is really tired. It's been too long, but it's good that we're just staying around camp, because then maybe he can take a couple of naps here and there. Rangers can do that, right? Lean up against a tree and just take a little cat nap with one eye open. Yes. All right. All right, so overnight, Willam is going to try to prepare spells. And I think what I'm going to do, since it's pretty early in all this, he had one day of full rest where he regained consciousness. And then he's taking another day. Actually, not today. Yeah, not today. This is only this first day after gaining consciousness. So he's going to take this day as well to just fully rest. And then the following day will give him a chance to try to gain his spells. So that puts us on the 4th. Fourth of Growfest is God's Day. And this will be a day certainly of much praying and rejoicing for those who are alive and mourning those who are dead. I can see my handwriting getting worse and worse over time. All right. Let's check our weather. Oh, and we've moved past the 3rd. 4 more days of food. Eight is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and 7 plus 4 is 11, so 31. Definitely been cool. Cloud conditions, 55 again, cloudy. And precipitation, let's hope not. No. All right. Good. Another day without rain. This is good for healing. Would have been good for travel. Too bad we can't make that happen. And the next morning, as we get up on God's Day, there's certainly going to be a lot of praying and such by the clerics to St. Cuthbert, but also Asher Wildwood is going to get up early and try to do a little hunting at dawn. for his wisdom check. Yes, he does it. He finds some prey and stalks it. 16 or below. Yes, so he gets it. He traps his prey, some pheasants, and gathers them up in a string, takes them back, plucks them, and starts to roast them over the fire. So we have one extra food. And we'll go ahead and make our morning encounter check and then cast spells. Balda and Tiny will cast spells. Let's hope we get away with it. We do. Excellent. Excellent. Another hopefully full day without worries of orcs, gnolls. Even worse than wolves would be wild boar. Man, 3+3 hit dice. They would just... No one would be left, probably. It would be pig food. So let's see. We'll have Tiny again, even though we've only drank half the water. We have 2 days worth of water with us, 2 skins each. Actually a little extra, because like I said, we've been using Aetbert and Jorbus's water skins. I guess we have a little bit of extra food too, because they're not eating, and there was 2 weeks of rations for a party of 6 plus Tiny and Balda. So who still needs healing? Asher needs healing. Willam is still down 2 hit points. But he should gain an extra hit point for resting. So he's only down 1. And so today we'll cast Cure Light Wounds on Svaldi Mundai, who is at 0 today. Yes, so Svaldi is up to full. And this will be day 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, this will be the 3rd day that we're camped here, and that Svaldi has been unconscious. And of course it rolls around to evening time, and we make our evening encounter check. All right. Thank you, St. Cuthbert. And there's lots of praying and such going on. And there's still a lot of chanting over the receptacle, so they're trying to keep things as blessed and holy as they can. Balda and Tiny and Willam. Willam is really just so sad, though, that his friend Aetbert is gone. He just can't believe it. They spent the time to bury the bodies and, give them a proper burial. But it's so sad. So sad. And finally, as it rolls around to midnight, we have at least 2 people now that can be on guard. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6 will be Randall. Yes. So finally, Asher gets some time to really sleep. And we have our midnight encounter. Oh, I am so scared that we're going to have an encounter and die. I did not anticipate a solo adventure to be so engrossing and, you know, like I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, what's going to happen here? I hope they make it. Okay, so another day passes, and we should be able to tomorrow again both hunt and again gain some spells and you know, be closer to traveling. In fact, you know, it's probably with Svaldi at full hit points, while he isn't likely to wake up, I would say that, you know, maybe it's a better time for him to be put in the cart and for us to move along, because we're just taking a big chance by staying out here. Even though it's a patrolled road, you know, at any point we could have another encounter by something even worse than the wolves. And folks, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. This is a good stopping point. We've covered as much as we can at this point. By the following day, by the 5th, when we come back, I'll start the day, roll for weather, do a little hunting, and then we'll see if we can get Willam to start having spells again. And that would put us to the point at which we could have three characters fighting in another encounter, and hopefully travel again. If there's no rain, we might be able to travel some. We still have so far to go. We're 25 miles into this hex, so we're right on the edge, right on the verge of reaching Hex 1323, so we're right about here. Excuse me. We're only a hex and a half away from Elfwine. Not quite as far as I thought. I thought we were about halfway, so we're a little more than halfway, but we still have, you know, days to go, and we don't have enough food, so we're gonna have to keep hunting. So it's best if we do get back on the road and get this wagon traveling again. Get that holy receptacle back to Elfwine as fast as possible, and report back to our families. And Blacksmith, he's going to be devastated that his son is dead. His only son, Aetbert Cuthbert, is dead. And there are several children on the farm. Svaldi wasn't the only son of the woman. His dad died, but I believe that there's a woman there with several children who live on that farm, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and look at the module. I'm using the village of Hamlet as the location of Elfwine, even though we're not exactly going through the module as written. But that, my friends, of course, will be on another stream. See ya. Bye-bye.